I was like stressed out, huge mortgage, baby coming. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? And then by like 8 months into the business, I had 51 listings.
And them doing those 100 deals with you, watching how you negotiate, watching how you problem solve, they come out weaponized and they fly past all their contemporaries.
Somebody giving you 40 hours a week of their life is the greatest asset you can have.
Okay, welcome back to AJ Unfiltered. Today I have a very special guest, a gentleman that I met a little over a year ago at a mastermind in San Diego, and I heard his business model, and it was absolutely mind-boggling to me that this was going on without me knowing. And so I'm really excited. I've wanted to have Dave on the podcast now for a whole year. We started talking about this a year ago. Dave Z is what he goes by. Dave Zaginski is his name. He is an agent with EXP. He's got the Dave Z Homes team, and he also has a very exciting coaching company called The Leveraged Agent, where he helps agents get leverage in their business, which is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. So you're going to hear about a business model that is going to absolutely open your mind to what is possible in terms of the idea of total freedom, location freedom, and just really being truly leveraged in this business. And so I'm excited to chop it up with you, man. Welcome.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me.
So before we go and do a deep dive, I'm curious, as entrepreneurs, we find our way to the model we have by way of making every available mistake in the book. I'm curious, What was sort of the journey? How long ago did you get into real estate, and kind of what did you do along the way? Did you try everything else that everybody else does?
That's what it is, right? It's like, here's the hard way, and then you just keep tinkering. So 22 years in real estate, and I made that journey. I came out of the gates like selling a lot of real estate. So it was new home sales for 4 years, and that taught me a ton of scaling, leverage, like seeing the journey through the way a builder would do it, right? All the specificity in the roles and what my role was in the company. And then they went bankrupt because the market crashed. So my first 4 months in real estate sucked. I was stressed out, huge mortgage, baby coming. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And then by 8 months into the business, I had 51 listings.
Wow.
So, okay, we figured it out.
Sure.
But I went into short sales. So short sales were rampant, and that was also a taste of leverage, where I just knew my role was to get listings, and then I quickly got help to do that. So the journey was solo agent. Then I went down the traditional team route, right? Started coaching, masterminding, spent a good amount of money on masterminds to learn how to scale to, let's just call it the MREA model, right? That let's grow the team. And I was climbing this mountain that I didn't know what was at the top of. I was just chasing transactions and volume. And I went from being a super profitable solo agent to man, this isn't really the dream I had envisioned. A lot of people, a lot of staff, all of that. And it wasn't until I actually saw profit and loss statements from the people I was chasing. I was like, oh, okay, this is the top of the mountain. To get a 5% net profitability of a $6 million business, $7 million business, it just doesn't make sense to me. So it was that journey of never getting through what we would call the messy middle, never getting beyond 20 people. I was like, I don't know about this. And I'd already started some virtual assistants in my business. So I already had some taste of some leverage at a lower rate, right? And then I was introduced to the model that kicked it all off. And that's the showing partner model. That's been around forever, right? I was so I did that for years, where I was like, hey, I'm your pilot. This is the flight attendant. I'm going to drive this sale and do everything, but this person's going to show you the property and do that work.
So what year did you start doing the co-pilot?
I started doing that I want to say 2018.
Yep.
And 2019. And then it worked until it didn't. And by that, I meant I had 2 salaried people that were doing all my showings. So now I am far more profitable than giving it out to buyer's agents, right? And I still had buyer's agents. And then, COVID really helped me. It hurt me, but it helped me, because what happened was I had some unreliable people, because COVID allowed them to say hey, I can't show AJ and his wife this Saturday. I have COVID again. I'm like, dang, again? This is I feel bad for you. It's your 14th COVID infections. Okay. So I'm paying somebody $3,000 a month. Yep. They're 24, 25, whatever. And no hard feelings, right? This is a godsend. But they weren't working. Like the two of them were like, hey, let's just go bartend in Scottsdale and keep our 3Gs. And like Dave's going to pay us no matter what. So now I'm paying $6,000 a month for people to open up doors for me and they're not available.
Right.
I was like, okay, like this is not what I'm looking for. So I found a service to just rent realtors by the door to open up.
And this is Shawami.
Shawami, man.
Yeah. So this, the first time I had heard about Shawami was in, when we were in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what's interesting is internally within our company at Vantage, we have a similar system where when agents join our team, you can pay them $50. We have a gig economy essentially, where you can pay them $50 to go open a door. And so, you know, if you just want the experience of using the lockbox and, you know, interfacing with customers and being out there and seeing property and you're looking for that experience, but you also want to make a couple bucks so you can have food with your meals in the beginning,
right?
Then that worked really well. So we created that marketplace internally. Beautiful. But when I learned that there were literally thousands of licensees,
140,000 agents.
That is mind-boggling to me.
I think nationwide it's like 140,000.
So for those listening to understand what Shawami is, and I'll let you explain it, but my understanding of it is this is a gig economy of licensed agents who have signed up for the idea of being able to go and do a go and show on your behalf, where they essentially open the door, they stay out of the transaction completely, other than to just let them in.
Just let them
use
in.
of the lockbox. $40.
Yeah, the cost has gone up. Right now, it's probably like
$45. Inflation.
Yeah. I know, right? So that model was introduced to me, and I'm like, well, this makes more sense. Like, this is all I'm looking for. It's like you wanted Uber. You hadn't heard of Uber, and you have like one private driver who's never available. Like, this is not working.
Were you a little tentative or were you a little nervous in the beginning at how the clients would, I guess because you had the COVID interaction, you already knew that.
I already had success with, hey, here is a kid, essentially. Like, I'm 48. Right. And so you're like, here's this 24-year-old. And my clients are like, that's fine. So I already had it proven. And I've been a Zillow Flex partner since they launched. There's 26 of us in the Valley. Right. And I already had years of running a lot of transactions with people who just want to go get to a door. Right. Like, click on Zillow. I'm like, well, Zillow's already proven that it's not the agent. It's the experience. It's the no friction. It's the accessibility to a house tomorrow. That's what people are looking for. So it's like, I think the consumers already want this. And then to pair it with somebody who's sold 2,000 houses, now they're really happy. So
okay, so that's an important piece, right? Because for a minute there, I thought you were kind of saying that real estate has been reduced to this very commoditized thing.
In a way, but no.
There is still the desire and thirst for expertise, right?
I believe in the heart of the consumer, what we're offering, and now I've got hundreds of agents running this model. It is what they want. Like, if you go to ChatGPT and you're like, what do people hate about realtors? It's everything that this model solves. They're never available. They don't answer their phone. Seems like a side hustle to them. They don't really know what they're doing. They minimize repairs during the process. Like, there's no transparency because we feel like they're going to minimize these repairs to get their commission. Like, you really look at everything the consumer has told us that they don't like about us. This solves it. High-level expertise, high-level negotiations, somebody who, you know, when you're negotiating on a property that's as expensive as they are, it's like, do you want somebody who can pay their bills without closing? Yes. And who do they normally get? Like, oftentimes they get a very commission-hungry agent, especially when you build out a big team.
Commission breath.
They're
like, financially compromised.
They're so compromised. And so I even knew that when I was like giving leads to people. Like, well, they're on my team, they need leads, but they just told me they can't pay their mortgage next month. Like, how is this a good relationship?
Yeah. And that's an important piece, and that's a big part of our model. What we wanted to solve too was to give agents the confidence to play like the money's in their pocket. So they don't show up with commission breath. They don't show up with a worry of where their next client's going to come from or looming overhead that's mounting. Like, I can remember being at Remax, and, you know, as well as I thought I was doing at the time, there were months where you'd go where you wouldn't sell anything. And that bill would continue to mount. And of course, I've got marketing and I've got my assistant. And next thing you know, I've got $15,000-$16,000 hole I have to fill. Now I'm inside a house and the client's like, what do you think, AJ? I mean,
buy it.
You're like, I think it looks pretty good.
It's
right?
Awesome.
And so you're not in a great financial position to give great consultative advice.
Right.
So that is a big thing that we do need to solve as an industry.
Yeah.
And I think this does that.
100%.
So I think it's important for the listener to understand how you frame this, because I know for us, we frame it as the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Right. When we introduce our lead agent and their co-pilot or showing partner, we explain that you're getting my expertise and their availability. And we often liken it to either like a dentist, dental hygienist, or a doctor, nurse. And we say, you know, I'm here to, you know, look at the x-rays, chart the course, help you get clarity around what we need to do and what we need to accomplish. And they're going to facilitate the rest of it, right? Because what happens typically is with a good agent, someone who's proven themselves to be competent, they typically end up getting quite busy. So their availability goes down. And as time goes on, energy comes down too. And like,
the enthusiasm to do that activity diminishes. Right. And then you have life, and I have 5 kids.
Well,
I'm like, do I want to go show you a house tomorrow or go to the zoo with my kids? So now I don't even want to prospect anymore.
Well, it's true. And after 20 years, I mean, let's get real. Your best service years are behind you in terms of your ability to like suit up and head out. Like you just give slightly less fucks year 20 than you did in year 5. It's true.
It's true.
Right. And so if you can combine, you're like, okay, well, what am I still good at? Well, I'm still really good at helping people get clarity. I'm still really good at analyzing opportunity. I'm still good at negotiating. And I'm really good at high level problem solving, because every real estate transaction is going to throw 2 or 3 pretty significant curveballs. And that's where the experience comes in. Everything else can be done by a 25-year-old kid with the exuberance and the excitement and the availability.
They love it. Yeah. I think what this model does, what you have, what you've created, what we're doing, it is putting the right people in the right activities. Who's enthusiastic to go show a home at 3:00 today? Is it one person who's on salary that had, you know, aspirations to go out on the boat with their buddies? Or is it somebody who wants that money and lives 5 minutes from the house and they pick up the order through the app? So in Scottsdale, we have 2,100 agents on our platform.
Wow. So it's growing. So I remember you said the number, which blew my mind, and I've referenced it a bunch. You said 1,400 a year ago. So it's 50% increase. I mean, that's obviously a sign of the times, but 2,100 agents on the platform now. So you mentioned it will usually, just like an Uber will find the closest closest car to you, it will find the closest agent to the, like, relative to the listing you want to show?
Well, a couple of things they do is, one, the brokerages all want it to be internal. So the top 5 brokerages by volume get preferential placement on the app. Right. So I've had many conversations with the owner. I called him one day and I'm like, he picked up. I'm like, is this Matt, the owner? We had an hour-long call. I was like, dude, this is just a call of gratitude. You've changed my life. He helped me make $1 million in a year after like scaling, like doing everything possible to grow the MREA. So like when I went to this model, AJ, it was almost a $550,000 injection of profit in 1 year.
So let's walk
1
through.
year.
Okay.
So I called him like, dude, you changed my life.
No doubt. Well, so I want to get to that, but finish what you were thinking. So how does it work? So they get preferential treatment?
They really want to run it to the brokerage, which is just hard to do because like people change brokerages and they don't update their Shawami profile.
Sure.
But they're going to try to push it to an EXP to an EXP, a KW to a KW. That way, because there's some discomfort at the brokerages. So I always preface that. Anybody who buys my courses or hires me or coaches with me, you got to run it through your brokerage. Like, are they cool if a RE/MAX agent opens the door and you're a Keller Williams agent? Most of them are going to say no, but they don't have anything in writing, anything that's legal. I mean, I've spoken on this model at my company on the request of the CEO, and it's like there's just no
clarity around it.
Clarity, and it's just discomfort.
I mean, let's be real. Most of the independent contractor agreements were written in a time before Shawami. Yeah. So there's no provision for this type of thing. We don't. This is new.
So I'm actually working on one in our company.
Okay.
So I visited with our CEO 2 weeks ago, and I said, let's build this. We now have 90,000 agents. We can build our own internal. And the way you've done it, I'd like to see it rolled out as, hey, this is a good way to make money, get your feet wet, align with activities that you're ready to do. You've never been a realtor. Why don't you go show 100 houses? And I can tell you, there's people on the platform making 6 figures that I know. There are people that make 6 figures on Shawami. Wow. So you look at the volume that you can do. If you're doing 6 hours of showing every day,
we'd have to show 2,000 homes.
Not hard to do.
Right. So if you show 2,000 homes, which could be done, I suppose, 200 working days if you're showing 10 a day, you'll be a pretty busy bee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, I think it's a great way to get started, get your feet wet, get product knowledge, showing property. Correct. I mean, a lot of these guys probably just stand outside and twiddle their thumbs. I mean, but walking through and actually seeing, okay, this is $500,000. Let me see what $500,000 looks like. And the more you see, once you've shown a couple hundred houses, now your product knowledge is good.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go into the numbers for a second. So previously, you were either doing quite a high cost of sale to a buyer's agent,
Correct.
or you had quite a high monthly burn to the showing partner that was on salary.
Yep.
Now immediately you switch. Now you're paying $40 to $45 per showing.
Yep.
How does it shake out from there?
So my cost of goods sold after my first year, the first year I did this, I did 76 units for like $1,080,000 of commission. My net was about 915. So I took about an 84% net.
That's unheard
With
of.
like no team meetings overhead. So it was literally in one day. I was like, everybody's gone. It was kind of a tearful, like, you guys have been with me this long. And obviously with my brokerage model, there was room for them to stay in my downline and stay tethered. But I'm like, I'm just kind of done, like, motivating everybody and doing these meetings. I'm just going to become super selfish. Do this, you do that. And the model, when I went through the numbers, it was like, okay, 4% was my cost of goods sold.
Sorry, 4%?
4%.
I mean, most people are striving for 40%.
Right.
Right.
So, like, how many showings on average does a client need? Like,
Right.
what I
How
found,
many?
What we found was about 13 to get somebody sold, right? So I don't know if you go back, go back and evaluate your own business. Like, how many homes? And if you Google it, I think the average buyer sees between 8 and 10 houses. That's the national average. So you're paying for 8 showings. When the year I did it was $39 a door that first year. So you're now, and then you have inspections and maybe let's go see it again with mom, or we want to get our carpenter in there or whoever. It's like, yeah, like we use it just for anything. Hey, the AC, we need an AC inspection, but there's no contractor box. Fine. Like Shawami will go let the AC guy in. So it averaged like 13 showings for my cost of goods sold. No management, no overhead. I didn't talk to them. I wasn't training them. And I was pouring into my showing partners. The whole idea of the showing partner was like an internship to run them into your team eventually. Like, this is your step to become a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, AJ, this is where it really struck me, was when I disbanded the team, and I did it out of love. It wasn't like, oh, you're all gone. And I just bought dinner for them within the last 30 days. Like a very nice, expensive steakhouse, seafood dinner, old people on my team. And I was like, here, AJ, you've been with me 8 years. Here's 300 clients. They're yours. 88% of them came from my like internet leads or however I brought them in, but you have the relationship. They're yours. And I saw that happening just with close relationships that would come to me and say, Dave, can you help our daughter buy a house? Yeah, thank you. I'm so honored to do that. This person's going to work with them. They're my buyer's agent. And then you run into those people 3 years later. They're like, oh, hey, we just had dinner with your buyer's agent. They sold our $1.5 million home, and they sold this home. And you're like, awesome. Like, they're not even with me anymore. So I saw like the end product of what we were building was you're giving away your relationships and your best clients by building a team. So it's like, how do I keep the relationships? And really I started seeing real estate as a fulfillment, just like Amazon or any other product. Like I just need fulfillment handled. So how do I handle fulfillment? I'm going to rent agents. And then how do I handle what all the buyer's agents were doing? Virtual assistants. So that's what ended up being my solution was I bet I can get a virtual assistant at $4 an hour to do all of the things that the realtors were supposed to do, but they don't do. Set up searches, follow up, actually check in with the lender. Like when someone says we're not going to buy for 3 months, how many of your buyer's agents actually stay on top of them versus
change the stage in the CRM, add the long-term nurture campaign, actually reach out in a month and a half.
Do they actually do it? None of it. So that comes back to like, it's the wrong people doing the wrong activities. Go get a project manager in the Philippines whose desire is to sit and manage projects and checks things off the list. They now become essentially the buyer's agent.
So the project is the client journey.
Correct.
From click to client for life.
Yep.
Okay. So that's interesting. So now you add the second layer to this. So you realize that you can rent the fulfillment on the showing side, but there's obviously lots more to giving a great experience.
Yep.
So then you're like, okay, well, I used to be able to pass this to somebody. Now I have that hole. I'm going to see if I can take this offshore.
Yep.
And were you a little nervous about that at first?
Well, I was, but I also I've had virtual assistants for 8 years now. And so I had them already in my business. And so I started beta testing it. I was building it internally. We were doing it with me while we still had the team. And I was like, just go in my CRM and like actually do the things we just talked about and send them a text from me as me, see what happens.
Right.
They're like, AJ, it's Dave. We got your search all set up. Here are 2 properties we think that might be really good for you guys. Do you want to go see it on Saturday? And then they would text Dave like, yeah, Saturday works well. Then Dave would text back like, cool. What time? 2. All right. 20 minutes later, it's approved in the MLS and Sarah is going to meet you there. And so they were getting the service that they were not getting from agents that would, again, it's not like the agents are lazy. It's just the wrong activity. You're asking somebody who likes to be out in the world with people to sit behind a desk and like do that stuff. So it's like, right. Okay, now we're aligning the right activities with somebody who can do it and we can fire them. They don't do it. Team leaders are hesitant to fire an agent. They're like, well, they bring in some open house leads and they have their sphere.
Accountability is rampantly, like, it's notably tough. Yes. So, okay. So you've got these folks who are happy to have the work, wired to do it well. So now how did you kind of break up the experience? Like, you've obviously got specialists in different roles. How do you carve it up?
We really broke up. We took apart the whole customer journey and we assigned it into the right position. So like in my world, I've got 3 appointment setters. They sent me like 46 appointments last week. Right? So my job is to get the client. That's my job. And then my job is to create the message to want them to meet with me.
Sure.
It's like one of our messages is like, hey, AJ, I know we met through Zillow and you're looking for this, or you're searching online, but Dave's got 146 properties in Phoenix with a sub 4% mortgage that you can assume. Do you want a list of those homes and would you like to meet with Dave? So if I can create 20 of those just unbelievable scripts, we can then take $4 an hour people to send that email with a video from me, or hey, we have 432 homes that are off market. Dave's got access to them. Do you want a list of those? Do you want to meet with Dave? So they just send out really good offers. These people say yes. So my job is craft the message, bring in the people, but then that next part of the journey is going to be handled through appointment centers. I mean, ISA, it's nothing new, but what I have found is the old way of ISAs was so hard. You had to be so skilled on the phone. You're dialing. You never leave a voicemail. I've put together the right script, the right message, and then we leave voicemails. And when you start to stack these great voicemails, like off-market properties, instant access to homes.
Now, is it a pre-recorded voicemail of yours?
It is. No, it is a pre-recorded video of me.
Okay.
Explaining it.
As a voicemail. You're doing a video drop.
It's a video. It's like a bomb inside the CRM.
Bomb.
Right? It's bombs. They can see it, and they're just getting these messages. And then the ISA, the virtual assistant, will say, hey, AJ, this is Sarah. I work with Dave Z, and he asked me to send you this email about all of these off-market properties. Do you want to meet with him? Super easy. And then the text message said, hey, I just left you a voicemail and an email. That's it. No call to action. That will start to bring out people who raise their hands. They get on a calendar with me. So my job, bring in the leads, meet with the leads. So I only do Zoom meetings.
So you're doing that on Zoom?
I never leave the office. I'm doing them on Zoom.
You were in Europe last year taking Zoom meetings from the boat, weren't you?
Sometimes, yeah. Yes, I've helped buyers while I was in Asia, while I was in Europe, while I've been anywhere in Disneyland. And if I'm traveling, it's a phone call, but everything is recorded. Now, I had some coaching calls this morning, and people in 2-party consent states is a little different. Arizona, we're 1-party consent, so I can record everything. All recorded, and the reason we do that is when you take that recording, and then all my clients get a custom ChatGPT bot that just crushes it. It's just filled with, like, we'll take everything you would ever want to know about the real estate journey and your CRM, combine it with like 1,000 hours of ISA calls of how to progress a person from start to finish. And then you run that call through it and say, like, we have our chat prompts, but it basically builds the workflow.
Wow. So when you say your clients, you're talking about your coaching clients.
Coaching clients or,
your retail clients, like your consumer clients don't get.
No, they don't get this. But if someone's like, all right, I want to run the leverage agent model.
Yes.
Right. So this bot really is the employee, and the VAs are carrying it out. But the list will come out. Set up this search, send this email to the lender, do this. It just gives the whole workflow, what stage to put them in the CRM, when to contact them again, and it tells them what to do. Like, like,
So
what
the
buyers each one
GPT is your brain plus all of the collective data
Yes.
managing the VA.
Correct.
Huge.
Dude,
That
it's-
combination, you talk about leverage.
Holy cow.
The leverage synergy between virtual assistants and AI, like for the money that you're paying, that is the cheapest rocket fuel you can buy.
Yeah, what I found is you used to have to take a year and an A-level talent player to be able to do this. Like, sit down and learn follow-up boss, please.
Yes.
Sit down and learn how to you know to run this whole model. Now you can take somebody in a week and they're good, because any questions, they just go to the bot. I mean, you can literally, if even from your phone, you can go to most CRMs and just take the whole history. I did this the other day. It was 64 pages. If you were to send it to a printer, it was 64 pages. You upload it in like a second. You go like, what do I do next with AJ? AJ came into your system in 2012. He's been looking at this. Everything is outlined. They're like, next message is this.
And so have
Then
you
they
got
just
that
send
integrated into FUB now? Have you got
I
it?
can't. Like,
They'll play with you. You
the-
just
I
got to figure out
know.
the API.
That is the next step. So right now it's still outside of it, but it's coming to all the CRMs anyways. But I use 4 different CRMs for all my different businesses, and I'm not impressed with any of the AI that summarizes in there. So we still, when we have a Zillow Flex call that's recorded, we still just take the call and have that VA, who's the project manager anyways. It just takes them a minute to upload it and spit it out, and then we just paste it back in.
So you get it transcribed or get the meeting summary,
Yeah.
and then you paste it back into the notes of the CRM.
And then chat will also create a checklist, whether you want it in Monday, Asana, Trello. We just use Trello, and it creates that checklist. So now you have a project manager who's literally like, did you schedule the showing? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Things that agents don't want to do. So we just take the ball out of their hands, and really the agents are just there, or me. I'm just there to write the offer.
So you've really simplified this now. You're trying to get the clients out looking at property as quickly as possible. You're hitting them with a USP that's all about either off-market properties or deals, which is very similar to our buyer value proposition that we use to try to generate appointments. So I get that. And then the goal is to activate the client as quickly as
Get
possible.
them out
So
to see houses.
you start with a buyer broker conversation, obviously.
Correct.
So you're going to land them under a buyer broker arrangement.
Yep.
Do you do that at a full freight? Like, just if you don't mind me asking, are you discount? Are you premium? Where are you on that?
So I use a company called Sisu,
Yep.
and I've used them for years. And when I looked at the data prior to the Sitzer Burnett verdict, we were 2.56 because we didn't do a buyer broker. We just took what the MLS paid us.
And you were getting about 256 on average.
So
okay.
I said, I'm going to go 2.75.
Okay.
And what I found with the 2.75, nobody gives me pushback either from the consumer side or the seller side, right? And so when I see, and I still have a couple hundred agents with me in Phoenix, and they come and go from my flex team. So I get to live both worlds, right? So like when I speak and coach, like it's like, well, I still have a mega team out here. They're just not tethered to me the way they used to be. So I get to go to the Zillow Flex conferences and see all this stuff. I see a lot of these 3% end up at 2.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I just saw 2.75 just seemed to be this number that nobody touched. Like nobody was countering it. I'm like, fine. I gave myself a 10% raise, and I'm not
Kind
getting
of a
friction.
path of least resistance, low
like,
friction
give
scenario.
me a weird number that when we submit this offer, it's not 3, it's not 2, and so we've found really good friction. I'm able to say, listen, 20 years, 2,000 home sales, and I'm not 3%. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Totally.
And I'm not 2.5.
So before we get into the value proposition that you build around that 275 to get the clients to agree to work with you, I am curious to get your take on sort of the post-settlement world.
Yeah.
In the people that I speak with, because I talk with a lot of guys that are at a high level who are good at articulating their value, whether it be on the listing side or on the buy side, what I'm hearing is we're getting more.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the data shows.
Which is
It
interesting.
was
'Cause
not the intended consequence.
not at all. It's very like,
You gave the elite the chance to really negotiate. So the elite and those that deserve it, and that's, I remember speaking, I think it was 4,000 agents, and I got a lot of crap because I was like, what I think is going to happen is we're going to go into a world that's normal. Like LeBron James should make more than Bronny James.
Yeah.
Maybe? Don't you
think?
think?
Yeah.
But 20 years and $500 million of home sales, I'm getting the same rate as a 1-year agent. That
Part-timer.
What world does that make sense in? So I think I said that's my prediction is if your bio on Zillow is I'm a native and I love people, you might take a pay cut. But if you can demonstrate some excellence and some value, you'll probably get a raise. And I think that is what happened.
And so what we get paid should be commensurate with the value we bring, the expertise that we bring. And it should be, it's true. It's a fair, true marketplace now.
It's now fair.
Yes,
and
I
so
agree.
fair has actually elevated the best to more pay, and it's probably lowered the pay.
It would be interesting to see on aggregate whether the consumer is paying more or less now.
I think they are. The last article I read, commissions are up on the aggregate.
Okay.
But I think it's because
it's consolidated.
90% of the production's done by 10%.
Yeah.
And those 10% said, listen, I'm a little bit more.
Yeah. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
So this is
and I offered a menu at first. I kind of said, you can go this route, like I do that on my listings, like a gold, silver, platinum. And I offered a lower tier, kind of like a law firm. My name's on the building. This is what I bring. But if you want a junior associate, I have that available at this rate. And nobody was taking that. Then I even did a flat like retainer, and you pay for your showings, and I'll do a flat fee. But I'm not negotiating. Like, you're not asking me to think. So it's like, you pay for your showings. It's $50 every time we open a door. So you'll put $1,000 in, and if that empties it, you have to put more in. But anything you don't use will be credited to you, and we'll have a junior associate negotiate this for you. And like, nobody took it, but I offered it.
Yep.
So I just think we're starting to realize the consumer does want it to pay for a good person if they're a good person. And I think it's just now bringing that conversation to light. Like, are you good at what you do, or are you just here to open a door? And I think, well, I've never sold one before. Nobody's willing to pay 3% for that, I don't think, unless they're like your good friend.
Got it. No, I like it. So, all right. Now, my question to you then is, what's the unintended consequence of going to this model? Like, what have you found on the relational side? I mean, obviously, being in the car, being in the trenches, touring around for hours on end with people is often where rapport is built. Yeah. Have you noticed a massive downside to the rapport you're able to get into with your clients?
No, I haven't. I have not. And I've been running this model long enough, and I've coached people in it. In part of it is we definitely feel an affinity towards celebrities, right? Like, and it's one-sided. It's a very unusual thing. Like, I ran into Adam Sandler at Disneyland. It was like unbelievable. He parked right behind me in the valet at the Grand California, and he's like, I'm one of his biggest fans. Like, literally was like leaning on the back of my Suburban, like, because my kids were fighting. I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to this. Like, and so my wife was with staff looking for something we lost with one of our kids. And he pulls in like right behind me. I'm like, this is awesome. I get a picture with him. I talk to him. So the whole point of this is like, I feel very connected to Adam Sandler, but he's not connected to me. We can recreate that in this process. So I have a tremendous amount of videos that go out. Every step of the way, my staff sends earnest deposit, inspection, appraisal. So you're just sending video. Every text message that comes to me is being responded by somebody else on my behalf. So there is this deposit of like connection, and then we're on a Zoom, but it's not the same. It's not the same, obviously, as being together, but I'm not handing them off. So if you think of the alternative, somebody comes to me like, Dave, hey, we go to church together, help my kid buy a house. Great. Work with this person. I've already like totally obliterated that relationship.
Yes.
So now I'm getting this one-sided buildup of a relationship because we're communicating a lot. They just don't know it's not me.
Yeah.
But I'm not handing them off. So I've seen an increase in my referrals and repeat business from it. And I think it's just because we got very clear that this is about dollars and it's about crushing the terms. Like, that's one of my ads. Like, Dave will crush your home negotiations, and we give examples. And so those are like my medians, like how to crush your next home purchase. And so I think we're just separating the relationship from the product and what it is. And, it's more me. So the downside, the unintended consequence, I've had people come to me and like, Dave, I've run your model for 2 years, never made so much money. I'm miserable. Then don't do it. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you don't want to be in your office and you actually want to be out and about with people. So we're now coaching on how to do that without really running my model to the T. Like I just onboarded somebody new to my program this morning. Guy wants to be out showing every time. So we're just adjusting the way the leverage is being handled so he can go from house to house to house to house to appointment with these workflows.
Got it.
So one of the things we're going to have to do is get him applaud. You've seen those, right? So we need conversations recorded.
Yeah, if he's not on Zoom, he's got to record elsewhere.
Yeah, so
I use Plod for my meetings, and I have my agents running around with the Plod device now. It's great.
We just adjust it because you will lose that. That's the trade-off.
Yeah, and I think for most people listening, they're an individual agent thinking that the relational equity is their business and that would be the thing that would be lost. And, you're looking at it through the same lens that I would look at it, which is, well, I was already handing these people off like from a leader level. Right. This is an upgrade from there because they're getting so much more of me than they were going to get if I just passed them over to a person on my team. So it's depending on like whether you have an upward view or a downward view of this from a relational capital standpoint. But I think for most individual agents, this would be a pretty big departure.
You're losing your value proposition. Like if your value in your mind is being in the field. I've sat with people where like, how am I even in this conversation? They asked me to talk to them and I'm like, I'm trying to pull their teeth. I'm like, just don't do it then. Like, you don't have to do this. They're like, well, I catch this and I'm the best at this. And if I'm not in the house, it's never going to happen. I'm like, then just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I have a desire to spend time with my 5 kids and have those relationships. And it's really hard, AJ, right, to sell 50 homes in a year by yourself. And I did it. I sold like 52 houses my first full year once I got that thing
going. That is a big job.
I'm like, where are my kids? So I'm like, what do I do? So it's really, you need leverage when you're busy. You don't need it when you're broke.
That's right.
So
we have a model called Leverage Track where we give you what you need when you need it. You don't unlock all of the different aspects of the leverage model until you need it, right? So things click in when you're doing 2 homes a month. You get your first administrative unlock, and then at 3 you get another unlock, and 4 and 5, and so it continues from there. So that comes in right at that perfect time. But to your point, if you're selling 50 plus homes a year by yourself with no leverage, you have no life.
Right.
Unless you have the world's best systems and you are the closer extraordinaire,
you have no
life.
Yeah, you're fooling yourself. Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people's success ends up cannibalizing their lifestyle, and then they grow to resent the business and eventually burn out, which
100%.
We've all seen 100 times.
Yeah. So I'm okay losing a few deals a year to run this. Like I've had people say, "Oh, I won't work with you that way." No problem.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So how often would you say out of, let's say, 100 consults, does someone say that model is not what I'm looking for?
Dude, less than 1.
Wow.
Less than 1. And I think it's in the presentation.
Walk me through a little bit how you kind of frame it.
Yeah. So it's early on. I'm like, listen, I'm going to tell you why I think you're going to have a remarkable experience working with me. I might be biased, but you can read my reviews, but I think this is going to be remarkable. And if it's not for you, tell me. And once we get through it, the overwhelming response is, 1, does this cost more? Because it seems like this should cost more. And, that's the overwhelming response. I only had one person. He was very old school. And it was a 7-figure. He's like, I want you at those homes first without me. Walk them. Make sure this is something it's even worthy of my time. I'm like, no, like I can't. And I have a client, she bought 15 houses from me. She has a multi 7-figure home. She's like, Dave, I want you at every single showing when you list my house. I was like, can't. I'll have somebody else there. Is that okay? And I'm okay to say no to those because I know it'll jeopardize my peace, my freedom, and ultimately my income. You're asking me, I'm very clear on my dollar per hour, and now you're asking me to take a huge step down, and I just have to be like, no, that's not serving anybody by me doing that. And I'll hand you off to somebody who's going to be really take care of you. But dude, AJ, it's overwhelming. This is awesome. Okay. And anybody who's ever bought a home before is like, oh, this is phenomenal. Like when you say 2,100 agents on-demand showing, and my job, like I don't sleep well if I can't negotiate this as low as possible. I actually want to go lower than what you're going to want to do. People are like, oh, okay, let's get started.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a downside to it.
And you're nailing something that I have believed for so long, and maybe I'm biased because it's the thing that I'm good at. Like providing a, white glove service and being at showings before, that was never my gig. My gig was competency around negotiations. And I feel like that is the most referable skill. It is the core competency of a professional consultant. It is the thing you're hiring us for, whether that's to negotiate on your home or whether that's to negotiate on behalf of you when you're acquiring a home. Getting the best deal possible is where the rubber meets the road.
I mean, O.J. Simpson hired Johnny Cochran and Kardashian for one reason.
Yes. Yeah.
And they delivered.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And so where I found better success in my presentation is when I introduce a slide of an entire flight crew on a tarmac with a big jet behind it. And I didn't have luck with dentists, doctors, because people are like, you're not a doctor. Okay,
Easy,
don't say you're a doctor
Yep.
and a hygienist. Don't say you're a dentist. And when I said I want you to think of a home purchase with me to be similar to flying on an airplane, and why that experience is so enjoyable. And this picture that I have has it's an older pilot with gray hair, and it's like, hey, when I step on a plane and we fly a lot. Just kind of habit. I peek my head to the left. I look in the cockpit. The minute I see two 20-year-olds, I'm out. I don't care how Doogie Howser smart they are. I'm out. They just don't have the experience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be your pilot, and that's all I do is pilot. And I have 2,100 flight attendants. And so when I use that analogy, people really resonate with that way more than dentists, hygienists.
Well, the analogy continues because you get to talk about flying coach or flying first class. There's the experience component to it. There's a lot that you can do with that. And landing someone safely where they want to go is
it's
terminology we use.
analogy.
And there's going to be turbulence along the way, right? But
we have our flight controller, our air traffic controller is going to make sure we don't crash. So you're going to get a lot of emails from our air traffic controller.
The aviation metaphor is so much better than the doctor nurse one.
People don't want to hear that garbage from realtors.
We still use it, and it does work, but you're right. I do
consumers-
like the aviation one.
Yeah, I tried chiropractors. They're like, maybe. So when you present that slide, and the slide that precedes it is, this is everything that has to happen in the real estate transaction. And most people will say they have a team. But let's be honest, like in the teams that I've looked at and coached and evaluated, it's 8 realtors all doing the same thing. We actually are a team. These are all the roles that we have.
I want to get that slide from you.
I'll give it to you.
Actually, can I get it as a PDF and give it to all the listeners?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Once you get that buyer presentation down, it's magical. Yep. It's magical. Like that's where people, and then before we proceed, we're like 3 or 4 slides in. I go, AJ, is there any reason this would not work for you? I just get permission right then and there.
A little tie down right there.
And they're like, no, this sounds awesome. Continue.
Yeah, because they're getting immediate availability and access to whatever they want.
You'll never hear the word no from me, is what I say. Yeah. If the seller says no, I can't control that. But my commitment to you, AJ, if you want to hire me, you'll never hear the word no. I have somebody, I'm like beta testing this. I'm not cutting it off. You would not believe it. It's going to really screw up my cost of sale. They're at 112 houses already with Shawami.
Oh my God.
So
you got to have those outliers.
They've never heard no from me. I'm like, really? We're at 112 showings?
So you're at $5,000 invested.
I don't know if they're stealing drugs. I don't think they are. But I'm like, I'm just going to let this go wild. And they just, we've had conversations, but I'm like, man, imagine if I had driven around 112 houses, how crazy I would feel. And they're looking at $900,000 houses in Cave Creek. So they're serious. They were referred to me, but no buyer agent would have tolerated that by now.
I don't think I've ever gotten past a couple dozen.
It's a record. Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm going to let it go. So I have a case study.
It's amazing.
Like the worst this could go is 300 houses.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, that's super interesting that you have had that experience where the clients themselves are saying to you, like, is this going to cost more? Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, like, cost is only ever an issue in the absence of value. Clearly, the way you're presenting, stacking, and articulating this value, it sounds like it should be worth more than what they're used to getting. And so you've pegged that at 275 because you've figured that, again, you're trying to make your life easy at this stage in your life.
Correct.
This is what's going to slide through without as much pushback on the other side. I'm already 10% better than I was when I was grinding it out and accepting what was offered. So you got a little bit of a bump there. You got 10% bump on your GCI right off the bat, and you've got your cost of sale down to 4%. This is starting to stack up pretty good.
It's pretty good.
But you still got to have staff, right? You've still got to have a bunch of staff. So now you've gone and said, okay, for $4 an hour, I can get what I would have had to pay $25 an hour to a local. And how are they doing? Because we've all probably had various experiences with VAs.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes. I think my biggest issue with VAs has been the out of sight, out of mind factor. And that's because I'm not a great manager.
Yeah.
And so I'm a very outcome-based manager, but the time difference as well as the lack of like feedback that's happening has caused some of those to happen where I'm just essentially throwing $1,000 a month to the Philippines and not getting a lot in return.
No, there's an art to it. So that's now leverage agents' specialty is virtual assistants. I mean, that's what we've cracked the code on is how to train them, hire them, how to manage them. You're going to need a manager. So when you start to look at the costs, especially when you start to do the volume, that you can do in this model, it's such a small percentage. But I have one director of operations. She's phenomenal, and she can manage everybody. So
What
I
does
just
she
talked
get
to
paid?
one.
She's not $4.
Yeah, I pay her $7 an hour plus some bonuses.
Okay. So
And that's a remarkable life. I think the last time I Googled it, the average monthly income in Philippines is $300 a month. That's the average household income.
she's double that.
Yeah, I mean, $7 an hour. She's what, 14,000 a year. So she's like quadruple the average household income.
$1,200 a month, yeah.
Yep. And she's got room to grow, and she is really good. I mean, she was better than any salaried employee I ever had. Even when I had six-figure people at a director of ops position with bonuses. Oh, yes. Like, dude, if the stuff she can build, she has built a lot of good stuff for me.
Okay. So you've got your ops, you've got the 3 ISAs.
Yep.
Setting 46 appointments a week for you. That's insane.
It's fun.
Okay. And then what else? Transaction coordinator?
So I'm a big believer that the TC should be American English licensed.
Yep.
So I have a licensed TC, but she's supported by my staff. So the way the workflow in the customer journey, once it gets to me, and then I have that meeting, the way we speak in our meetings is very much like recapping the way a doctor would into a, have you ever had a doctor like speak into the microphone and they're just dictating? So you just get good at speaking orders. Like, okay, AJ, so our next step is this. So when that workflow comes out, goes to that manager. Once we get into escrow, it's then going to go to a TC VA to support the licensed TC. So now my licensed TC charges me $225 a file. That's it, because they're getting support. They have an assistant to say, track this down, upload a sky slope, do this. But they're just there to write it.
And they're making $250 a deal?
$225 a deal.
So I like this model a lot. In fact, we're doing this right now. So we have 4 TCs to manage our brokerage, and they're local and team members, and they do a wonderful job. And we're trying to figure out, okay, how can we increase their capacity? And obviously the combination of VAs and AI. That's it, right? And so we're trying to see, like right now, what we've found is that one good transaction coordinator can manage about 15 deals a month.
Oh gosh, no, she'll do like 60 a month.
So the leverage can continue beyond just leveraging agents.
Correct.
Leverage your leverage.
Leverage all your leverage. Yeah. So she not only TCs for me, but I have my Zillow Flex team. So my organization's done like 1,200 units this year. And not all of them use her, but most of them do. And so, her capacity is now up to like 700 files.
Wow.
So if you're just same thing, if you're just there for the big moments and then you have a staff of virtual assistants carrying out the orders, like get this signed and then get it uploaded, and then she just has to have the oversight to make sure it's right. Yeah, leverage at all the positions. So now we have a TC, and then we're going to have a post-close virtual assistant.
Okay, what do they do?
So they're going to just get the Google reviews, make sure everything is handled right, the moving, anything that we're offering, like if there's client events, getting the new addresses, checking in. We have a series of drips that want to go out on my behalf, like, hey, AJ, it's been 4 days. How's it going? It's crazy to think it's been 2 weeks already. What's going on? Like they send out these text messages on my behalf, and then they'll aggregate the responses for me to either do at the end of the day. Like they're just all set up there, and I can just shoot a video like, tell AJ this. So I don't like to be in a CRM. I like to live in Slack and just send all my messages to Slack in a video. Like I can just sit in my car after this and be like, say this, and then let them. It's nothing worse for me than like being somewhere and having to log into my CRM. It's just so much easier to talk to Slack, right? Oh. So they'll manage that. They'll manage sending out CRMs. Hey, or not CMAs. Hey, it's been a year. Here's your equity report. So just that client ongoing communication, we're not dropping the ball on it. It's not automated.
Yep.
Right? It is, but they're the guardrails to make sure. Now, this would be a stupid message to send out because 2 days ago we just did this.
Well, that's the problem when you cut AI loose or those automated messages loose, you
You'll
get a
sound
lot
like
of
an
collateral damage where you end up looking like a doofus in a lot of scenarios
100%.
where you've sent a message like a day after you had a text from them about something like it's just goofy. And they're like, really?
Right.
And it does. It undermines the relationship. So I agree. And that's our ISAs have been really hard to convince that we should have any automations running because they're like, we've got all these relationships on lock. We've follow up.
Yeah.
We're doing this manually. If you, as soon as you start mucking around with automations, then all of a sudden I get someone tells me to buzz off and they think that I'm not listening to them anymore because some thing that was tone deaf went out. So I'm a big believer in automation, but at the same time that you got to tread lightly. And I think what you've done
what
is
I
the
call
way.
guardrails. You need guardrails. That human decision to say, no, this is a bad message to go out. This is inappropriate. Wrong time, wrong message. But have it ready to go so they don't have to critically think of what to say.
Yeah.
So we just do, instead of fully automated plans, we just call them traditional plans with deadlines.
Got it.
Like, hey, this is due this day. Do you think you should send it? Maybe not. And you could ask the chatbot.
Well, that's it. The
Should you send
chatbot's
this?
really the
They're like,
guardrail. They're manually hitting yes, but the chatbot's the one that's providing the intelligence.
Correct.
So it's like having a 200 IQ sales brain bolted on.
It's smarter than me a lot of times. I might ask, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm philosophically here. I'm a big believer that AI will be the biggest benefactors in AI are the ones with a little bit of salt in their temples that have been around. They've got 20 years of experience and context and all that. And now they can be leveraged. Very similar to what you're talking about. You want to look and see the captain's got the gray hair. So I think AI certainly help allowing the business to consolidate around the people who have are a little longer in the tooth with the experience, with the track record, the pedigree, et cetera. I think that the Xiaomi model is that as well, because again, it's another unlock for people that can prove their value on. So my question to you is, does all of this really disadvantage an agent looking to break into the business now?
Yeah. And I think it should. And I don't say that to be rude or mean, but I think I dropped out of medical school. I think the pathway is difficult for most professions. And I think that is part of our what's the right
the low
word?
barrier of entry
barrier of entry
created a very watered
just
down
after
experience.
Our commission. I don't think we would have these lawsuits, if we had less realtors providing more value instead of more realtors providing less value. So I think my goal is to see those that, and it's not just money and it's not just success. Hopefully those are scoreboards of the right people who have integrity, who are serving the client, who have their best interests in mind. Because I just closed a $1.2 million sale where I gave up $36,000. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I found the buyer. The buyer's like, why don't you represent me? I go, I'd rather not. And so I could have made 6% on a $1.2 million sale. And I just said, no, I don't really want to represent you. And he said, well, that's a lot of money. I go, it is. It's $36,000 because I ended up just taking 1%. And I thought it was better for my client for me not to get paid. $48,000 was fine instead of the full. And I think the people you can get negotiating those that aren't so centered on their now money, but have a greater purpose, have more of a mission, are doing this for the right reason. We all have to make a living, and I think we could make a living at the service of people, not at the expense of them. And I could have easily just gone to my clients and said, I found the buyer, so you're going to pay me 6%. But no.
Turning down a $36,000 commission gets a lot easier when you're netting seven figures.
Correct. And so all of your decisions, I think, become better.
Yes.
And they're more centered on what's the right thing here? What's the right thing to do on all of these things? So I think we need more seven-figure earning realtors that are serving at their highest capacity, that have a greater capacity to serve and love more and do better by the industry. I think there's less lawsuits.
So the consolidation in your mind is good for the industry because it consolidates around those that will do it in a way that is beneficial to everyone's collective reputation.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I choose to believe that those making the most amount of money in real estate aren't because they're swindlers, but because they are actually massive givers and massively successful. Like the rooms that we've been in, the masterminds we've been part of, most of those people I think are just stand-up people who are so good at what they do, they make a lot of money, not because they're somehow cheating the system.
No.
So let those people handle more transactions, deliver a better product, and let's get the cost of this fulfillment. This is really, I had to shift in my thinking. It was like, we're just after fulfillment in this model. And I started looking at how Amazon built their business. I'm like, we are building this so backwards. Let's fulfill this and give a better experience. And that's been my overall feedback, was like, Dave, this is the best home buying experience we've ever had.
That's so cool.
That's what we want.
So do you feel like this has given your business a bit of a moat? Now you have margin, and margin's enabled you to offer a better service. And do you feel like this has built a bit of a moat around your business?
Yeah, and it's given me the assurance at 48, I can do this till I'm 80 in different iterations, and that I'll always be able to make an income in real estate that's independent of my location.
That's so big.
How that's always the fear. Like, how do I sell my brokerage? How do I do this? And then you pair that with revenue share models, and it's allowed me to go all in on 2 other businesses. And still, I mean, my production is down, but last year was 51 units, but I scaled out 2 other companies. And that really are giving me my passion and purpose. So it's giving me like, fine, if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, if you don't like the model, don't like the model. But it's really giving me that comfort of like, I could be 70 and still be involved in real estate in such a small capacity instead of retiring. I mean, look at our current president. How old is he? Oh, he's pretty old. He's still going at it. I'm like, I now know I can be living anywhere in the world and do real estate. It's pretty cool.
Leverage is the unlock, without a doubt. I mean, and this is like, I don't have quite the margin that you've got, because I haven't managed to figure out how to create fulfillment at 4% cost of sale.
We'll do it.
But what I have managed to do is create location freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom by putting leverage in place. And, you know, for people who are starting, and when I'm coaching, it's, okay, step 1, we got to get 80% of your time back by getting you out of all the administrative stuff. Most agents, 85% of agents are solopreneurs doing all of it.
Yeah.
So step 1 is you got to get the administrative stuff off your, now that could be a VA, that could be somebody local, but either way, we got to take 10% of your income at most and put it back into getting you back 80% of your time. Yeah. Because most of what you do in a day does not require a license.
Correct.
The next piece of it is, are you willing to invest back into somebody to be that co-pilot? Now, for me, for 10% of revenue, provided, let's say you're selling 50 or 60 homes a year, your revenue is enough that 10% of that de-risks your co-pilot. And they can still make money at a better percentage on the deals they bring to the table. Right. So whatever they were going to make anyway, they make most of that, but they get the $70,000 or $80,000 cushion and 10 years of experience downloaded into them in a year.
Yes.
Right? Because farting around selling 5 or 6 homes a year.
I still love that model.
It works at 10%.
It does.
I mean, it works better at 4%. I like the 10 though, because you keep that person in-house, and you're grooming somebody where after 100 deals and them doing those 100 deals with you, watching how you negotiate, watching how you problem solve, they come out like weaponized and they fly past all their contemporaries. So I like it for the fact that I'm still building a brokerage. And so this is a wonderful on-ramp. And then these guys go on to become top producers on the team. So I love it for that. In terms of just pure bare bones fulfillment, Shawami makes a lot more sense. But if you're building, I think, still trying to build a talent pool, and you're building a championship team with people who are very talented, and they're going to be specialists on your team and represent your brand, I think this is still a great way to do that.
I think it's still preferred, but you've got to have, like, how many really talented people want to work for one person who works from home? Right? So that was when I cut part of my savings that first year. Was I cut office overhead and reinvested in a 7-bedroom, 5-bath, 5,000 square foot home. Gave it to my kids instead of having office space. Yeah. I was like, well, I'm just going to go get a bigger house. So I knew that model needed to shift it, because I was no longer available to mentor and provide an ecosystem and environment the way you are. Yep. So I think if you're going to, so I like that model, but I just didn't think I could attract the talent if I was like, I'll never talk to you and you have no building to come into.
It makes sense.
So a lot of solopreneurs are going to struggle with that.
You're right.
Showing partner model. And I knew that I was like, I was having phone calls with my 25-year-olds at 11:30 at night. I was dad to them. Like, one of them, like, gave me a hug and cried. He's like, you've been like my dad. I'm like, but I have all these kids to pour into.
You got 5 of your own.
So I was like, I got to stop pouring into people in that capacity. It was hard, but I found it in my coaching and recruiting and all that other stuff. So
that
I like your model. You got to be honest with who you are as a leader.
Yep, that makes total sense. And I think too, because I'm still a brick and mortar shop, and we still do have that environment and that camaraderie and everything. I think in a cloud-based world where you're giving up the space, what you're doing makes total sense. But I'll tell you a little anecdote just the other day, and I'm attending, because I'm here in Arizona now, I'm attending our Tuesday meetings via Zoom, and so I'm just mainly a fly on the wall. My brother leads the meetings, but it's neat to be able to kind of teleport in from wherever I am. And I was listening, and we start every meeting with gratitude, and then we finished every meeting with appreciation. And there are 5 agents on our team currently that have a showing partner. Okay. And it was interesting, and this doesn't happen always, and it typically does take anywhere from 6 to sort of 9 months for those showing partner relationships to really bake, and where that showing
between the agent and the showing
and where the showing partner is actually providing significant value, right? Because the lead agent, the pilot, is providing the bulk of the value in the early stages, and then eventually it catches up, and then all of a sudden it's disproportionate the other way for a while.
Right.
But what I listened and observed when we were having the meeting was that everybody who had a showing partner, either their gratitude or their appreciation that day was in reference to that relationship. And so it was like, either I'm so grateful to be at a place in my career now where I can be at home with my kids and have my weekends back and still give a great experience to my clients and have my business be growing. It's what a beautiful period of my career. Or on the other side, at the end of the meeting, it was, I'm so appreciative to have, McLean on my team now. It's so fun running and gunning with you, and you've been able to do so much for me already. I can't wait to see what we can do together. Yeah. But the point is, everybody who had that going on was in a really good place about it. And I thought, okay, that's cool. I think this model is it.
I agree.
And anybody on the team who is sort of like, our middle, they're not the brand new people, but they're not quite at the stage where they've earned having a showing partner. They're looking at that going, I got to get there. Yeah. Right. And so now all of a sudden they are looking at this, they have this upward view of like, I got to sell 4 homes, 5 homes a month so I can have that because I want my evenings and weekends back too. So it's cool, right? It's a full ecosystem, and you can start on our team in an internship where you're like the gopher, you're running around delivering sold signs and lock boxes and feature sheets and doing all that stuff. And that's unlicensed. And then, but you're getting context and you're around it. And then, we pay to get you licensed, and then you're getting licensed. Next thing you know, you're like, okay, what do I do? I got a lockbox and a license. What do I do? Well, great. We have the ability for you to make $50 a showing when you head out. And our agents, which would be usually people selling 4 houses a month, we give them showing credits. So if you're selling 4 homes a month with us, we'll give you $1,000 a month to spend on Showami, but it's our internal Showami. Yeah. So now you got some money that you can spend as a leverage piece for you, which is, it's like 20 showings a month, which if you're honest, most realtors aren't showing more than 20 homes a month anyway. Right? So they're getting most of their showings taken care of for them. And like to our agents that are selling 4 homes a month, they're like, whoa, this is amazing. That's awesome. When I want to go boating on the weekend and I want to be on the boat with my family, and next thing you know, somebody wants to see a house, I don't have to say, oh, shoot, guys, sorry to disappoint. I got to go show a house. I just, for $50 or $100, I send these 2 showings over to somebody. So it works really well. And it provides like this really nice on-ramp onto the team so they get de-risked. And sometimes, that's kind of the farm team for what would become that co-pilot. So let's say one agent who's spending most of their credits, and they're usually giving it to the same person because they know that person is doing a good job. Yeah. Well, next thing you know, it's like, hey, maybe we should talk about something a little bit more, official. Why don't you come on as my co-pilot? I'm at that level now. And so we can facilitate those partnerships kind of via a try before you buy, if you will.
Love that. Do you provide virtual assistants for any of your top people?
We provide, we have everybody we have is on full salary. So now we're like, okay, and our margins are not wonderful. So now we're saying, okay, we're going to keep growing, but we need to grow at a level where we start to build in more margin. So I think the way to do it is with AI, is with virtual assistants, and we continue to leverage this amazing staff we have. Between property management and the realty side, we're 100 people, and I wouldn't downsize for a second. But if we could take those same 100 and increase our top line by 50% without having to hire anybody else, or anybody we did hire was virtual, that would be a pretty big slack adjuster to the margin.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. I haven't found anybody here in America that is, or let's put it the other way. After 8 years of doing this, I know there's more talent there than we realize. And we just are very comfortable with it being in America and seeing their face. But when you really get good at interviewing and finding and hiring, you're like, okay, this person's actually more talented. They're just in a different part of the world. So I think every job we have can be replaced, except for in person.
Are all the VAs you work with out of the Philippines?
All of them. I've tried a lot of countries. I've just found the best success in the Philippines.
Have you looked into Costa Rica and the people that are in that sort of area because of the time zone benefits?
Yeah, there is a time zone benefit, but there's just the Philippines are really set up for American virtual agencies and employees. Yeah. Like they really are set up for that. Like they just had 2 major typhoons, and because my employees are registered as virtual assistants, they have secondary power grids that the government helps you with. So they're like, okay, we need to be set up. Like if you're serving an employer in America, we want to make sure you have electricity.
That's cool.
So none of them lost power. No, there was 900,000 people evacuated.
I wish I knew about that because I had a virtual assistant in the Philippines for about a year, and I could tell you over the course of that year, he was down 2 or 3 times due to some other weather event.
Yeah, it's not that often. Yeah. It's very rare that they're just down and out. Like one island, like Cebu, is kind of the eye of that storm, and so I have employees on many different islands. But it's just the best combination I have found. So I'm gonna stick with the Philippines. I just think that's the best combo I found. I want to keep them all over there. And then when I go to visit them, they're all kind of in one location. And so I was there in September. I'm going to go back probably in March. And
you fly into Manila and get everybody together?
Yeah. And then you can fly. They all need to get on an airplane. None of them are like next door neighbors. So I think for me to fly 7 people and put them up. So we did a week in a Verbo, and for them, and I was in a hotel, and then 7 airline tickets was like $1,200. Total.
Come on,
total. It's like I think the airlines are like $40 to go from one island to the next island, and then the house was like less than $300 for the week. So super affordable.
Dave, that's unreal. We're paying so much money for stuff here; it's insane.
It's an unfair advantage right now that I don't know how long will last. I'm always waiting to hear that there's going to be a $10 an hour tariff slapped on foreign workers. You just don't know how long this is going to last.
So walk me through kind of what you're doing so people can now come to you and they're going to ask, hey, Dave, get me a VA, or I'm thinking about getting some leverage. So you provide a little bit of coaching on what you'd have these guys doing, and then you find them the talent. And how does that work?
Yeah. So what we're doing is, and it's all industries. So I think now total it's over 4,000 business owners have tapped us to get virtual assistants. Wow. And there's 3 ways to do VAs. First of all, if you've never done a VA, there's 3 ways to do it. Do it yourself. Go to onlinejobs.ph, type that in, be like, resume, hire you, fail forward, do all the stuff that I did wrong. There's just so much stuff you have no idea.
That sounds really fun.
It's horrible.
What's the next level?
I will never do that. 2, you can go to like these big agencies.
Like a My Outdesk or something?
Yes. I would never mention MOD by name, but that's who I was with for 3 years. And I didn't know that 2/3 out of the salary goes to them, only 1/3 goes to the VA. Right. So unscalable. I got to 3 with them. I'm like,
they're like $2,000 a month through MOD.
$2,000 a month. Yeah. 1,200 to 1,300 will go to the agency. 700, 800. So it's like 8 an hour to the company, 4 an hour to the VA. That's great if you're like, I just need one for a little bit. I'm not going to do this. But if you really want to scale and grow a business, what we do is we're more of a coaching company, a mastermind. In fact, when we met at our mastermind, I was leaving our other mastermind. We had 125 business owners show up. It's included in our platform. And we just mastermind for a couple of days. Then I flew out, met you in San Diego. And that mastermind's one of the best I've ever been in. So what we do is we find them, train them, place them, replace them if we need to, standard operating procedures.
Handle the money too?
What's that?
You guys handle the money?
No. So here's what we do. We feel like this is a much better long-term relationship, is you're going to pay your VA directly, and then you pay us for what we do. And we have 3 different packages. This is designed for like 1 VA, 5 VAs, 30 VAs. So we've got many business owners with 30, 40 VAs with us, and there's just different levels of coaching, collaboration, like a weekly call with your coach. How's it going with your VAs? Where do we need help? I just had one have a surgery, and I just emailed, shipping at our company. I'm like, send them flowers and a card, please. Done, handled. So our fee is separate from what the VA is.
Got it.
And on average, we're going to be about 90 cents an hour. We're not $8 an hour, but we want to coach. And then if you're a realtor, I have a whole course that I used to sell for like $5,000. And that course is everything we've talked about. I did a 6-week series with a couple hundred agents where I walk through this whole podcast broken into 6 weeks of like, how do we do this? How do we generate our leads? How do we convert our leads? Like, how does this whole workflow work? And then we'll get that. You'll identify the VA you want. So let's say you hire us and you're going to come to an interview with like 7 virtual assistants. We're like, which of these 7 do you want? Is there anybody here you want to work with? No? Fine. We'll do another round for you next week. Usually you're going to hire one. And if you're a realtor, we'll then take them for 80 hours, AJ, and they just run with us for 80 hours. They watch us and they comp every home you've ever closed. They learn your CRM. So we give them back to you after like a boot camp of 2 weeks, and they should really know how to run this model, and then you customize it. Somebody just texted me yesterday, like, I hate to say it, but this person's got to go. I'm like, what's going on? We jumped on call. My director of ops, who does some training, got on, like, yep, this is going on in her personal life, this, and this. I'm like, well, yeah, that's going to show up in your business life. So we're going to take her back, give them a new one. Mm-hmm. And that's just included in our fee. So it's for somebody who really wants coaching, collaboration, systems, and not just like headhunting. That's easy. Go find a VA if you want on your own, but if you want help,
the ongoing
support's
support's important.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's fallen down for me. So I'm excited to keep the conversation going with you about this. I think this could be really helpful in our organization, and both on the property management side and on the sales side. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And even on the home services side, I think there's opportunity for us to plug VAs in and fill a lot of the gaps that we're having right now. Yeah. That we can't necessarily afford to add, 2 or 3 new full-time people.
You could add like 2 or 3 VAs that actually just start to build the whole. I'm sure you have a really good documented process, but a lot of people who do not, or just like, then hire a VA to over the course of a year, have them understand 4 roles and build it all out into very good digestible systems for other VAs. And now you're building replacements, but you're going to give leverage to that listing coordinator or whatever. And eventually you're like, I think we can pull the American now and put this person in. Like, can they be Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre for a couple of years? And all of a sudden you're like, now we have Aaron Rodgers at a tenth of the cost. So that's what we do with a lot of big organizations. Yep. I helped one of the biggest iBuyers in the Valley scale out lots of roles. So they came to me and they're like, we're having some bottlenecks. And so we identified those bottlenecks, how we would hire it, do the workflow. And they immediately put 8 VAs in with that intention of eventually taking those jobs.
Well, and I think that's an interesting conversation in and of itself, because for me, I still take a lot of pride in providing good paying jobs to locals. Like, I kind of have that support local baked in. So what I really like about this is the idea that, because I can't give the current team I have the pay that I think that they would want or deserve. And as inflation continues, like, even some of my admins that are making 80, and I have even admins that are making 120, and they're going, I can't live like this, right? And that's like, really hurts and hard to know, like, wow, because obviously, you've got the arbitrage of being able to go overseas with it. And so like, you're like, okay, well, I could hire 6, but at the same time, I think where the opportunity lies for me, where I can have it both ways, is not downsizing the local staff, but creating a scenario where they're super leveraged and we can grow together, and I don't need to have 3 of that same person locally. I can have them with maybe even 3 VAs.
Correct. Yeah.
And now there's salary band and a possibility of them making incrementally more as we grow, because we're growing margin and they're growing at the same time. It's good for both parties. 100%. I can live with that. I don't think I want to go to a place where I have no local staff, but I want to have the highest paid local staff, but also a great margin. That are leveraged with a great margin for the business.
So this is what I do with my top Zillow Flex people. When you achieve a certain production on Zillow Flex, I hire you a virtual assistant and train it. And I know I'll absorb that cost because, well, I want you to stay on Zillow Flex. You're doing a great job. And if we put some leverage behind you, look out. You're going to do more. Yep. So that's where I like to use that as, like, when you unlock your systems in your company, that's where I'd say all of these people at a certain tier need to get their own virtual assistant, helping with their personal schedule, their meal shopping, their meal prep.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Like, give their spouse a virtual assistant.
Okay, we got to talk about this
Okay,
after. This
right?
is
Like
this
their
is a big
spouse
unlock.
needs a virtual
My
assistant.
brother and I are always talking about like how can we loop the spouses in so that they are in big support of their partner growing
Yes.
a bigger business.
Yes.
It has to be good for both parties, right?
100%.
And so this is cool. I really like this, buddy. We've jammed for over an hour.
This is great, dude.
This has been good. I love it, and
Yeah.
I know this is not going to be the last time we chat about this. But for anybody listening who wants to maybe get a little more information about plugging some leverage into their world, where would they go? How do they find
you?
you?
Go to leverageagent.org. That's going to be my VA site, leverageagent.org. I've got like a 500-page manual of everything I know on VAs they can download. Like, put your email in. You'll probably get a call from a virtual assistant to see if you want to sit a time with me. But that's a good site. I mean, people will call me on my cell phone, which I'm happy to give. It's 480-332-6468, 480-332-6468. But yeah, if you go to leverageagent.org, there's a ton of videos on there that I've got, like frequently asked questions and a bunch of downloads. But bridging the gap, if you've never, you know how many people come to me that have never hired anybody? Holy cow. Never hired one person?
Yep.
Okay, this is very difficult. Now you've never hired overseas, and you're going to go do it on your own. You're going to find out that they offloaded it 3 times to their cousin's neighbor. and then they're going to ask you, how do you do it? Because you're like, oh, it's not you. I mean, there's all these pitfalls, but everybody, I believe, needs a virtual assistant. My last virtual assistant I placed was for a school teacher in California. She's a school teacher. But for the reasons we talked about for spouses, it's just like somebody giving you 40 hours a week of their life is the greatest asset you can have. And it's really difficult to do in America, right? For most people. So they'll never be able to hire. Facts. So start it with this. And if you want to blow up an American staff, do it. But yeah, man, this was good, dude.
Love it, man. Had a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thanks for listening, everybody. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content. We're going to keep bringing you awesome guests just like Dave Z.